Crytek have decided to bring back Crysis, and it seems to be carrying a lot of pressure on its shoulders, with promises of a true FPS experience and fan expectations going through the roof. Does Crysis 2 surpass its predecessor, or does it just become a shadow of its former self? The gist of the story is this: you're getting invaded by a bunch of jelly-looking aliens from outer space. But don't take the idea of jelly as cute. These aliens are called the Seth, and were behind the incident in the previous Crysis. All they want to do is tear you and pretty much the rest of humanity apart. So what do? Simple. You go get a suit, and then you go and march straight up to those aliens and deliver the biggest ass kicking ever and turn back the invasion. This inevitably leads you to, main characters such as Nathan Gould, who you may remember from the previous Crysis. But as for the story itself, it does start off pretty slow, and there are some awkward plot holes here and there, but as you eventually get towards the end, you do begin to see the bigger picture and things do start to make sense. Well, gameplay can range from insane to a turtle's pace depending on how you approach each area. A new nano suit has been introduced, and you know what a new suit comes with? Upgrades. Upgrades to further help you own on the battlefield. You could basically run really fast, jump really high, become invisible, and guard yourself against oncoming attacks like bullets. But the biggest new thing would have to be the ability to track enemies, ammo, and identify tactical options through the visor. This could be a game changer or your worst enemy, however, you're not forced to use it and can approach each area any way you see fit. As for online, the setup is kinda like Call of Duty, where you can level up your character, unlock new weapons and classes. The only difference being is that depending on what skills you use the most during the matches, they will get the most priority when it comes to upgrading. So, for example, if you use a lot of stealth during your online matches, your stealth levels will go up. If you use the armor a lot during your online matches, your armor would go up. So, basically, it will distribute your points depending on how you play, and eventually you will create your own complete new style of play. So, the setting this time is New York City, a big change from the jungles in the original, with Crytek dubbing it the urban jungle. The city is well presented in all of its destroyed glory. The graphics are subtle, yet really bold and striking, with lighting that looks, well, let's just say 80% of what makes Crysis look like Crysis is the lighting. You can't help but notice the graphical achievement when you come out of the tunnel the first time, when you see a part of the city and then the light is just bouncing off the surfaces, bouncing off the buildings. It really brings out the level itself. Of course, with a game as powerful as Crysis, there are going to be glitches, and there was one, for example, at one point where I zoomed in with the sniper. I could see the enemy was behind cover, but when I was looking normally, the cover disappeared. So yeah, it's just a few minor things that the majority of Crysis 2 players will probably never notice. The most important thing is that it doesn't take anything away from the overall package. Crysis 2 brings it, and it brings it well. You got yourself fun, fast, high action paced gameplay that you can approach in any sense or way that you want. The online is just as great, except with the addition of upgrading your character, it becomes a whole different territory in a way that you can't compare it to the single player campaign. Story wise, you may get confused here and there, but as I mentioned before, towards the end things do start to lift up. However, those plot holes, who knows if they're ever going to get fixed. So Crysis, everything you'd want definitely in an FPS, and definitely a game to go and pick up. To read the full review, please head on over to weknowgamers.net.